Of course, Bulldog Illustrated, Murray Poole. Murray, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, BJ. How you doing today?
Doing wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. And you've been around this program for a long time. A lot of talk even in recent years, Murray, that you've seen about Mark Richt and his future, and is he going to retire, or what's his timeline? What did the contract news yesterday tell you?
I think, BJ, I think it, first of all, showed me that apparently Greg McGarity, has heard a lot of sentiment about the Georgia coaching staff kind of being, paid lower than a lot of their colleagues in the SEC, and I think there was a lot of, and I think he was kind of waiting to see, and I know he was happy with winning that bowl game and getting the 10th win, so I think, with all the sentiment going on and trying to keep this staff stable, and of course with Schottenheimer coming on and Rob Sale, his offensive line coach, I think he's just doing a concerted effort to get them all together, and that starts with the head coach. He's, of course, among the top 10 in the country in overall winning percentage, and, a lot of the big negative that a lot of the fans hold against him. They want to win that national championship, but, as we've talked before, BJ, I think it took Bobby Bowden 17, 18 years, the same number of years for Vince Dooley before he won one at Georgia. So, Coach Richt's continually working at that, but his overall record still speaks for itself, the winning percentage. And I think they just wanted to get him up, and he had dropped to number 12, in the SEC, and the coach's salaries. He used to be in the top 5, and this kicks him back up, BJ, to number 5 now, to I think tied with Steve Spurrier at $4 million a year. So I think when they upped all the assistants, coaches brought in new assistants and paid them more than the other guys used to make on the staff. Of course, you had to go with the head guy, and give him a contract extension and get it up. And it looks like to me, it's telling that Coach Richt wants to be at Georgia for a number of years, despite all the talk we've heard about, may go on mission trips with his, with his faith and lean that way. I don't think so. I think he wants to still know that this program can win a national championship, and he likes the staff he has now. And I've heard him say that that comment that he can be a mission influence with his faith, with working with these young men day in and day out, and kind of keep them on the right track and be an influence with them for the Lord.
Murray McGarity talked so much about the future of the program and how everything looks bright. It's trending in the right direction. Go ahead and kind of project for us a couple of years out. I mean, how much success can Georgia have? Is this a team that a few years from now, maybe even next season, would be capable of contending for a spot in the playoff?
Yeah, I think so, Matt. I really think they were, of course, one game away from that this year. The South Carolina game, instead of pulling that out when they lost a close 4-point game. The Florida game was inexplicable, as we've talked about, not showing up after they got hit in the mouth. They did show up. People said they didn't show up. Well, they were playing well and had the lead, and then kind of didn't go for a close 4th and 1 or something for a first down when they were driving into Gator territory. And then the fake field goal backfired on them. The Florida ran and pulled it off, and Florida got all the momentum. They could have still lost that game and got into the SEC championship game, as we know, and could have gone on from there the way they were playing end of the year. The Tech loss was just I think, you go back to the Tech loss, people not giving Georgia Tech enough credit. You see what the Jackets did. Almost could have beat Florida State with a few more plays, and certainly finished 8th in the country, and took it and beat Mississippi State in the bowl game well. And I think it's Paul Johnson's best team, 11 wins. Not digressing, but yeah, Georgia lost to a good team there. The Florida loss a little inexplicable the way it unfolded. But the South Carolina lost the one loss. That's what they've got to overcome, guys. Don't lose that game. You've got to win, be able to win the close ones. And Coach Richt's right there knocking on the door of getting to the SEC championship game again, I think. And looking at this team, certainly the quarterback's the big question mark. Will, Bryce Ramsey or, if Tom Bata play, but I think everybody's pretty high on Jacob Parr, the way he ran the scout team this year. And so, he's going to be battling with, certainly Bryce Ramsey for that start quarterback spot in the spring. And the good thing, I think, might, Brian Schottenheimer's come in, and while we've said before, that Bryce Ramsey from nearby County here might have been the real head guy and have a pretty good jump start in the lead with his experience, if Mike Bobo would have stayed, it's the good thing, I think, for all the Bulldog Nation is Schottenheimer's going to look at all these guys from zero level. They're all equal, and they're going to have to show him something. to get a stake on that quarterback job coming out of spring practice and going into fall camp, the one that, eventually wins the job.
Murray, the timing of the contract extension for Mark Richt, how much do you think that had to do with recruiting and maybe some speculation that, hey, Mark Richt might not be here when I'm a senior for some of these high schoolers that are making their college decision?
I think it's big, BJ. I think, like you say, let's face it, opposing schools, they'll recruit against you that way. They'll say, well, you may want to think about not going there. Coach Rick, you hear he might be leaving for a mission trip, and that might change your whole staff in a couple of years. And they're telling them, and I think this is a big move on McGarity's part, and Coach Rick, of course, agreeing to it and wanting to go forward that he is going to be at the University of Georgia. And will he coach as long as Vince Dooley did, 25 years? I still kind of got my doubts about that, but it looks like, this contract going up through 2019 that, he wants to be at the University of Georgia. He said before, we love it here, we don't want to leave. So, yeah, I think it's a big statement to the recruits coming into Georgia. And right now, they're in the top 5 class in the country, I think, recruiting this year. And so they should be able to close big on February 4th, and especially looking at the Staples staff. And I think there's a lot of excitement about Brian Schottenheimer with the guys, especially your wide receivers, your quarterbacks, and everybody, especially if they've got potential to make the NFL one day. Well, now you're going to be dealing with a guy that's been there 14 years in the NFL, knows how you can get there if you've got the talent and the work ethic. He can show you the way.
You mentioned we're just a couple of weeks away from National Signing Day. Right after that, just around the corner, you got spring practice starting up. What do you think some of the top priorities for Mark Richt and the Dogs are going to be as they have their 15 practices this spring?
Yeah, man, I think they got to find a center. David Andrews graduated, and they got 4 starters back in that offensive line, and a couple of moves. They're talking about moving there. Also, Hunter Long backed him up last year, and so I think center is a big priority. And of course, the all eyes, all the hoopla, and all the attention, the public stuff's going to be on the quarterback, and they got 3 guys battling there, and one of them, I think they're good enough to take charge and play, be a starter for several years, whether it's Ramsey or Jacob Park. He's a 6'4" kid that can run and throw, and gives you a little multi-dimension, but he's got a really strong arm too. Maybe not quite in Bryce Ramsey's arm strength-wise, but pretty close. And then you got Jacob Eason coming in a couple of years, the number 1 quarterback in the country from the state of Washington. So I think the quarterback, really, whoever wins it, is going to be in good shape the next few years. I think they still want to shore up some places in the defensive backfield. And they lost to Marlon Herrera and Ramig Wilson, 2 inside linebackers, had over 100 tackles each for the last 2 years. And so there's some guys, Tim Kimbrough will come in there, and certainly Carter, So I think I would say inside linebackers, the whole defensive backfield, and certainly the quarterback and center spot. That's what they're going to really be zeroing in and try to find some guys that can step up there. And otherwise, about 7, 8 starters back on each side of the ball, guys. I think it's really big. I'll be surprised if Georgia is not picked to win the East this coming fall.
Spring practice right around the corner. Murray Poole, Bulldog Illustrated. Murray, thank you so much as always. We enjoyed it.
Always enjoy it, guys. Thank y'all.